I'm Natasha James. Welcome to TASH Talk, where I focus on effective innovations in education that are practical and forward-leaning. Today's episode is fueled by Jay-Z's A Star Is Born. When I hear this track, it reminds me how important feedback is to the development and nurturing of stars in our profession. All right, let's get right to it. The point and spirit of observations and feedback is to improve practice in service of student achievement. That old saying, feedback is the breakfast of champions, comes to my mind when I think about observations and feedback. We've evolved in our belief of what makes a good lesson over the years. Back in the day, Madeline Hunter hit us with I do, we do, you do motto. That was cool. We believe great lessons need to be designed around smart objectives, designed with the end in mind. I, as the DCPS school leader, recently pivoted from observing the execution of 9 TEACH standards to 5 essential practices that we believe, if executed well, could deliver a highly effective lesson. Here are the 5 essential practices. Is a teacher 1, cultivating a responsive learning community; 2, challenging students with rigorous content and sparking intellectual curiosity; 3, leading well-planned, purposeful learning experiences, enough to have the kids grapple with the content; 4, maximize student ownership of learning. Is it cognitive work, higher level ambitious goal set? The assignment quality matters. And 5, the evidence of student learning. What did the kids produce? How did you respond to it? I wish someone would have looked at my practice through those 5 essential practices lens when I was a classroom teacher. I felt so underappreciated and undervalued when my evaluator didn't come in and notice all of the dope features that I put into my lesson. I also felt slighted and began to question the judgment of the rater when they didn't ask me what the kids did after the lesson. I started to wonder, was it just about putting on a good performance, or did the transfer of knowledge and what the kids could do with that knowledge really matter? And so as a science teacher, I created a unit on rocks and minerals. It was Valentine's Day, and I thought it'd be really great for the kids to understand some of the social implications around blood diamonds. And so to that end, I had the kids create a campaign around blood diamonds. The kids could do what they want, but their goal was to get the word out. And so I had a group of students make these postcards that were diamonds with blood drops on it. They went to a local jewelry store and they put them on all the doors and the window shields of the cars. The jewelry store was on fire. That Monday morning, I got called into the principal's office because the jewelry store said that they had kids discouraging people from selling diamonds without demanding the store gave them paperwork verifying that their diamonds were certified by the Kimberly process. I personally thought it was a home run. The principal thought it was a problem. Don't we want our kids to be agents? I had done exactly what they told me to do, which was make the learning relevant to kids, and it wasn't appreciated. I bet you to this day, you can go back to that same group of kids and they can tell you how and where a diamond is found, but more importantly, the consequence if a diamond isn't certified by the Kimberly process. It was a hot lesson. Once I got to the point where I didn't trust my evaluator's eye, I decided I needed to own my own professional development. So me and my team at the time, we became clinical about our practice. We asked each other for feedback, and more importantly, we asked when we give feedback to get past everything that we were doing great. We appreciated the compliments, but we wanted to be great. And that was the difference in my personal growth. I grew tough skin early on and wanted to hear how my lessons could not just be hot, how they could be fire. And that's what needs to happen, in my opinion, today. We have to create those conditions in an environment where teachers get past what they're doing great and exploit what they need to do better. Part of what makes evaluations and observations tricky sometimes is that relationship piece. People don't have trust. People don't tell the truth. People don't want to offend or hurt someone's feelings. Sometimes you even get into that conversation where the person who you're rating feels like because I'm your girl or you're my boy, that I'm going to cut you slack. All of that needs to be taken off the table early on if you want to make the most of evaluation and the spirit that it's supposed to do. So I want to make something clear. If you're my girl or my boy, you can count on going into that person's classroom every day, no matter what time of day, no matter what day it is, and that they're going to be on. When I say to someone, that's my girl, I always know that they are ready and they are ready to put on, because that's what you do when you are my girl or your boy. It doesn't mean that I need to shield you from an observer's eye. I know that I can always count on you to be your best, just not on observation day. So whether you're not my girl or not, if you are one of my teachers, you can call me Joe Jackson, Beyonce's dad, whatever the case is. My job is to make you shine. You will shine. You'll be trained up right. And our environment of feedback is going to be like breathing. And that starts from the hire. If I hired you, I've already identified you as being pretty talented, as a diamond. And my job is to make sure that you can shine. And so, coming onto my team, that we go hard and that we talk our own truth. And so we develop that spirit of feedback and open communication early. The scene from The Help comes to mind. You is smart, you is kind, you is important. You should know that off the break, so that you know that I'm not trying to hurt you. I'm not trying to impact your pride. I'm only going to tell you the things you need to know to feed, grow, and expand your practice. And part of being hired by me is that you have to trust me. You have to trust the team that I'm going to put around to support you. Trust is everything. I'll get reconnaissance on you. I'll learn you from short walkthroughs, sure. But the observation is the sweet spot. The observation is tied to your livelihood. It's a big deal. And I make a big deal about it. It's a lot of pomp and stance in that observation process, because that's where I believe we get the most from our teachers. For years, I never worked with an assistant principal, and I did all of my teachers' observations because I wanted to send the signal that that was the most important part of our business, how you taught and how students learn. And for years, I had to do that until we grew the school and it became too big, but that's for another TASH talk. When I get to observation season, I ask teachers to invite me into their classroom. Before the meeting, I ask the teachers to talk to me about their class, about their practice, where they have seen they have difficulties. I ask them to tell me about every single student in that classroom, and I gather as much information as I can get. Where did the kids start? Where do they need to go? Where are you having problems? And I take all that information and that context into account. I ask the teacher questions. I give them feedback. We vibe. I'm looking to see if they can take my feedback and put it into action. When we get to the day of the lesson, I get to their classroom a few minutes early. I ask them where you want me to sit, what you want me to look for, and then the fun begins. I get to sit and look and see what they believe their best is. Why do you go through all of this, Atasha? I want teachers to be in control. I need to see what teachers believe to be their best. Why do you go through all of this, Atasha? Just go in and observe the teacher and take what you take. I don't really think that that's cool. And here's why. Everybody has an off day. And there are some stages where you need to be developed. And there's some days where I always need to assume that you came in thinking that this was a great idea. What I need to see is your thinking. I need to see how intentional you were. I need to norm our baseline of what best is. And you're not going to know what best is in our world if every time we meet, I say, oh, how do you think that was? It almost doesn't matter what they singularly think is great. It's what we think is great and what we decide is great as a learning community. And so you would think, right? We've gone through all of this, Atasha. Of course, your teachers are going to score perfect 10. It's not the case. It's not the case because when you go through this process, it allows people to be vulnerable and show you who they really are. And it gets you hired as a coach. You become now the teacher. You become the person in the teacher's life who they look for feedback. You become implanted in their consciousness, and that when they're planning their lesson, they're saying, what would my boss say? Okay, this is what we talked about. and now you have become hired. I let the teachers know that this is my process right up front. I let the teachers know that this is intense and could be painful, but I ask them to trust me. I tell them that if you just go along with this process, I promise you, you will be so effective and the kids will be so smart. My goal is to set conditions for feedback that bypasses the slow, typical glows and grows process and method. We waste too much time. Here's what I know. Getting feedback always feels weird, right? We're like artists as a classroom teacher. We're sensitive about our work. But if we set the expectations for feedback early on, affirming that you are dope just because you are on my team, and set clearly for them, my only goal for you is to be the LeBron James of the classroom, for you to be a hitter that no matter who comes in at any day and time, you are always ready. I say to you, colleagues, I'm not saying be rude, but I'm saying we don't have to go through these pleasantries of glows and grows. It's okay if we get to the work of improvement. On a side note, don't you think it's kind of odd that if you've ever observed a Little League football game or football practice, you don't hear a glow before they tell a kid to hit low. You don't hear a glow before whatever the case is. It's just our truth, and it's designed to make you the best. We've cultivated over the years in our industry this need to be overly sensitive. We've made a thing about giving feedback, which is antithetical to moving further, faster in our work. Are you a hitter or not? Are you developing talent to be stars or not? Are you, as the leader, earning the referral? Do you have the head nod where I can salute you? I don't have to come in every day and go through a pomp and stance, because you're always ready. The time we spend together during evaluations is such time well spent that you can't wait to show me what you're doing next. You're not afraid to innovate around me because you know no matter if the feedback is rough and tough, it's rooted in love and designed to make you and our babies shine. I want us to be in a situation where we're always ready. It's consistent, it's intentional, and it's rooted in love and truth. Thank you for listening to TASH Talk. I'm Atasha James. Let's continue this conversation on Twitter. You can find me at Atasha James. Platform.